And then the next day I got in and they gave me full scholarship and I was like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sold, I'm done.
Yeah, 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 Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just recorded the video with Lexi. She has the Lex Does Law page or whatever. I wanted to do like a separate intro. I recorded an intro in the video, but I wanted to do a separate intro because like I was having issues with my lighting on the inside. I had to come outside. My AirPods fell out like 10 times in this video. You may hear some background noise, but still watch the entire video because she did a really good job like just talking about early decision. She only applied to one law school, so I think you guys like hearing her story will just be like very beneficial. Like I said, on my Instagram, if you guys follow me, I did say that I'm doing like a bunch of collabs. I have like, let's say between like 5 and 10 collabs coming up, and they're all different types of people, different backgrounds, different perspectives, different law schools, different rankings, different years in law school. So I definitely think you guys should like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can be notified. I know I look crazy. I just got out of class like right before the video, so like just ignore what I look like. Pay attention to her in the video, and yeah, let's get started. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Lexi. She has an Instagram page, Lex Does Law, and she's starting law school this upcoming fall, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So we'll let her do like the rest of her introduction, and then we'll go ahead and start the video. So Lexi.
All right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. I watched you a lot when I was like prepping last year, I guess.
Okay.
Like the summer stuff, I did, but I have an Instagram, Alex Does Law, where I kind of just chronicle. It's basically like a scrapbook with my experiences. Is what it's become at this point. I'm from a tiny town in the North Georgia mountains. I mean, like 2 stop signs, and that's it. I'm in my last semester at the University of Georgia, and then I'm starting law school, like Letitia said, in the fall.
Okay. So, what undergrad did you go to? Did you say University of Georgia, or no? Yeah. Did I miss that? Okay. Okay. And then what was your major?
Journalism. I'm a journalism political science major.
Okay. Did you like always want to go to law school? Or?
I always wanted to go to law school, and I think that's what made it easier for me to like apply early decision and everything, because it's just kind of like it was something that I really like. I've always wanted to go to law school, and I guess that I started like the light prep work at the end of my sophomore year of college, like just like very, very basic, like just dipping my toe in the water. And so I think I had a lot of time, whereas other people who don't have that time and haven't always known, I feel like maybe they wouldn't apply early decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like if you really don't know, you definitely don't want to be like bound to one school because you don't even know if you want to go. So it's like,
exactly. I don't know about this.
Exactly. No, I get what you're saying. So yeah, guys. So pretty much today's video, Lexi applied to school early decision. Like she just said, she only applied to one school. So pretty much I wanted her to come here today because I feel like you may be one of the few people that I've heard that have said that. So I definitely wanted to like talk about why, how, all of that. So how did you start studying for the LSAT? Like, did you use a class? Did you use a tutor? What was your process?
Since I always knew that I wanted to go to law school, I like my sophomore year, like I said, I got the LSAT trainer, and like I was someone who had always done really well on standardized tests, so I thought the LSAT was going to be no different. And I read like the first couple pages of the LSAT trainer, and I was like, oh my god, like this is terrible. Like it's not going to be as easy as I thought it would be. I knew that off the bat, and planned to study for like the summer and then take it in November of my junior year, which is really early and like not necessary. Thank God, because I didn't do it. Like I was like, there's no way that I would be ready or anything. So like I read that couple of pages and I was like, I'm not even gonna register. Like it is what it is. And so then actually around November of my junior year, I was like, okay, I need to like get a plan in order and like get serious about this. And everything was so expensive, and I didn't know that because I didn't use like tutors for the SAT or anything like that. And I was looking, it's like $1,000 for a course, not even for a tutor, just for a course. And I was like, I can't afford that, you know? So I took like the last like I think it was like $70 at the time that I had, and I did the cheapest option on 7Sage. And like it wasn't the deluxe or anything like that. I think it's different now because of like all the LSAC stuff, but then you could get one course. And I got that, and it was enough for me. I took a diagnostic, and it was in the 140s. And at first I was very like discouraged because like I said, I'd always done I knew it was going to be a battle, but I didn't know it was going to be that much of a battle. And I like read where people are like, you only can increase your score by like 4 or 5 points or whatever, which I don't think is true. But have you ever like heard that too? Like,
I have, and it's definitely not, because I increased by more than 4 points, so it's not true.
Like I don't like, but I was like super stressed because I was like, if I scored in like the mid 140s, like that's not going to be enough to be where I need to be or like get the scholarship money I need or anything. So I like hardcore did 7 stage, and like I went from the 140s, and then my official score is like a 163, which is good for me.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I was done at that point. As soon as I finished taking the May Flex, I had the loophole and logical reasoning too. I saw the LSAT trainer, I had some like tests, that like physical test. I put it on my Instagram. I was like, does anyone want this stuff? Because no matter what, I'm not taking the LSAT again. And this girl's like, I'll take it. And I met her like 30 minutes later in like a Walmart parking lot and gave it to her, and I was done. And I came back and my dad was like, oh, you're really done. I was like, I've gave it to God. Like, it's above me now. I don't know what to do.
Okay, so you're good at this. Like, you're really good at making decisions and sticking with them, because that's the opposite of me. Like, I'm so indecisive, and you sound so decisive. Like, that's a good thing, though.
I always, like, it's not good. It really isn't. Like, yes, my parents or boyfriend, anyone, she is so, like, I am your stereotypical, like, I need a plan and it needs to go as planned. Quarantine really like threw me for especially Luke, someone who always does have a plan, you know. But yeah, I'm the kind of person though, like if I want something, I want it, and if I'm done with it, for better or for worse, I'm done with it. And that was how I was with Elsa. I was like, I've never put this much effort into anything in my whole entire life. And if this effort, whatever this effort was, like that's all I had to give.
Yeah.
I was just done.
Yeah. Okay. So did you have like other people that were applying to law school too? Like, do you have friends, family?
I'm still in undergrad, like I said. So, I try to take, one thing I did since I've always wanted to go to law school, like anytime I have an opportunity to take like a law related class, I would take it. Anything with like law in the title or legal or whatever, just to like kind of find some sort of footing or make sure like to some degree this is really what I wanted. And so obviously everyone else did that too. So I always had people in my classes that are like, I'm going to law school, but also like their parents were like partners at big law firms and like judges, and they'd grown up in courtrooms and all this. And so like, I didn't really have friends that went through. I had classmates, and honestly, because like my family are just like blue collar workers, it actually made it feel, I guess, more alienating than helpful. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely know what you mean, because it's like two different conversations. Like, they don't have the same worries. They're not concerned about the same things. They just need to get into any school, and it doesn't matter. They're going to get a job regardless, and that's not the same situation. So,
yeah. And like, they're like, oh yeah, it was me and my dad were talking about logic games. And I'm like, my dad's like, you need a 170, or you'll get a 170. Like, duh. Like, he doesn't even know what a 170 is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you said, it's two different conversations.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so like for your like personal statement, your letters of recommendation, your diversity statement, all of that, like how did you know what to write for those? Like how did you prepare for those?
I didn't use an admissions consultant or whatever. I didn't even know that was a thing. And then again, I was shocked. They like $5,000, and I was like, why am I even surprised at this point? But I was, and I was like, I can't afford that. I can't, you know, like I'll like take it to like the writing center at UGA maybe. I struggled with my personal statement hardcore. And I think it's because of someone who always like has a plan and knows exactly what to do. Not exactly what to do, but you know what I mean? Like I have a plan for what I want to do. When I like had this free open prompt, I could write about anything in the world. I was like, I need some like direction. I went through so many drafts, and like at a certain point, like I was reading it out loud to my boyfriend. He was like, this isn't even you. Like you're just writing to try and be like some hottie-totty, you know, person or whatever. And like, that's not who you are. Like you just need to show them who you are. And that's like the best advice that I could have gotten, because my personal statement was deeply personal. It was something, it wasn't like about the best thing on my resume. It was just like a story that mattered to me. I got notes from the admissions staff and the dean of the whole law school about my personal statement. So I was like, it worked out, you know. I'm probably not a good candidate for like consultants or like these big courses or anything, because I'm like, I didn't do any of that. I
that's a good
I
thing,
guess
though.
I'm not non-traditional. sense that, yeah, I'm not non-traditional in the sense like you, like I love your story about how you took all these years off and you did all these cool things, you know. I'm not non-traditional in that sense, like straight through, but I guess I'm non-traditional in the sense that I did it in a way that worked for me, where most people were watching me do it, that like people in my classes that had like this money and this access and thinking I was crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. So like obviously it worked for you though. Like you applied to one school, you got into one school. So like why that one school?
Okay, so I was very new to this whole world. Like I always knew I wanted to go to law school, but I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know anything about the U.S. World News rankings. Like I had no idea like the significance. And then like you get on Reddit. I don't know if you ever use Reddit in your like law school admissions. I use it with a grain, not even a grain, like a helping of salt, because not the strangers on the internet are not the people that should guide you. But they're like, if you don't go to Harvard, like you're doomed. You're going to be in poverty and da da da. I'm like. And like I never went. Yeah, I never want to go to Harvard. I love the South. I think I want to do like civil rights work, and I think where else to do that in a lot of senses than like right here in my own backyard. And so like I knew I wanted to stay in the South, but despite that, because of like being shell shocked, I guess, by everyone telling me something different, these people like had knowledge or whatever I thought at that time. I was like, okay, well let me like everyone. Applying 25 schools, maybe I should apply to 25 schools. And this is like at the very beginning of the journey. And so like I compiled this list, and it was a list of schools that people had said they were good. I hadn't even really done any research, but like someone was like, you should apply to Minnesota. I don't want to live in Minnesota, but there's a time.
Why?
Yeah, there's a time where that was on my list. Blanket the T14 because you're a URM and you have like a 160 plus. I'm like, that's just not what I wanted. And so I went from the list, like I had probably like 17 schools to start with. And I honestly just looked at it from like a common sense approach. Like, don't want to live in Minnesota. Don't want to spend 3 years in Michigan. I've been to the West Coast, and I commend you for going there because it's not my jam. And you know, that's okay.
I'm going to do a video on that for you guys. For everyone that's watching, I'm going to do a video on the West Coast thing later because,
I went, but it's not my jam, but it is some people. That's good. like I said, born and raised in the South, like this is where I like to be. Anyway, so that alone knocked out a lot of schools, just thinking about like realistically, where do I want to live? And then after that, I started looking at like the most important thing. That's how everyone look at employment rates and bar passage. I was like, I'm not going to go to a school where 1 in 3 people are unemployed and be like, I'm going to bet on myself. Like, I'm going to bet on myself, but I also want to put myself in a better situation, if that makes sense. Like, there are just some numbers that are really, really scary for me. And it's not even to do with rankings. It's just stuff like that I think is so important. Like, I don't want to go to law school for 3 years and then have one out of 2 people from my school don't pass the bar. You know, like I'm always going to bet on myself. I also want the odds to be in my favor as opposed to like, stacked against me. And so like for me, the cutoff was like T50. Like anything in that range, I felt good about because I don't want big law. I want to do like civil rights work and maybe like criminal work and that kind of thing. So it wasn't super important for me to be like, I have an 80% chance of big law. It was just important for me to like have at minimum, very minimum, 80% chance of having a job where I practice law, like where I needed the JD that I had just spent all this time and effort and stress getting. And I also really wanted to go to a school that had an innocence project because that's something that I'm very passionate about, like post-conviction work. And so that narrowed down the list too, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller. And then as things happened this summer between like Corona and like social justice and everything, I really saw how schools were handling it, and some like made me feel I would be proud to be an alumni of that school, and then others made me feel like a bad taste. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this is the environment for a person of color, or at least for me, that's how I felt. Just how things. And so at that point, I was down to like 3 schools, and I had a top school, and it was really what I wanted. And their early decision program is very unique because it's not binding. You have like 3 days to make it binding. So it worked out really well. I go back and forth, like, would have I applied there if it was binding? And I think that if there was like at least like half a scholarship included, like Andy, I think there's just like $35,000 or something like that. Like if it was like one of those like programs, I would have still applied early decision. But if there was no scholarship money guaranteed, I don't think that I would have applied if it was binding, because I need scholarship money. Like law school, it's a big investment. Even I was lucky enough to get a full scholarship, and even with that, you know, like there's still living expenses and things. Like it's just, I wanted it to be an investment, but I also wanted to like invest like not a lot of money in my time and effort.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I applied there, and I used law school data. I don't know if you ever use that or not, where you could like see like when they sent out decisions.
Yep.
And other schools that I wanted to apply, the early decision at the school opened on September 1st. The other schools that I was going to apply to, there's 2 more. Their applications didn't open until October 1st. So I had like a month window, and I was like, all right, I'm going to apply here. I applied as soon as the applications opened because I really just wanted to go there so bad. And let's see, I applied as soon as it opened, and I told myself, law school data had shown that they sent like their first wave of acceptances for early decision on September 24th.
So you still would have had time.
Yeah. My birthday's on September 26th. So I told myself, I was like, if they have accepted or denied or waitlisted or whatever by my birthday, then I'll send in my application for the other schools. But if I get in and they give me a scholarship that I'm comfortable with, I'm done. And it actually, it happened early. I got you know how some schools will do like you get a tracking number before you actually get the official email. And so I was like checking my stash checker one evening. I was at home, and I had a tracking number. I was like, oh my god, like what does this mean? Like, I didn't know if it changed from year to year or what. So I was like, okay. I was like super nervous, and like I had this big grand plan to like tell my parents. So I like left their house. I was like, I'm gonna go back to school. Sorry, bye. And they're like, what? You just got here? Like, what's going on? But, and then the next day I got in, and they gave me a full scholarship, and I was like, I'm sold, I'm done, finished. And so now I'm in this weird phase of life where it's kind of like purgatory. Like I'm just I'm waiting. I'm finishing up this last semester, and everything's on Zoom, and I hate it. But I'm really just waiting at this point to get started on the next chapter.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy though, because most people I know that apply to early decision to schools, if they got a scholarship, it was like 15%, 20%. Like I don't know anyone that got a full ride and did early decision. So that like worked out perfectly, because I haven't heard of that.
It really did, and I didn't. I was worried about it, to be honest with you. I prayed about it a lot. I'm like very big in my faith, and I kind of felt like if it was meant for me, it would happen. And this is like a weird sidebar, but that same day, my dad, like I said, we're in the South, very, very Southern folks, and he loves to fish. And so he'd been fishing this fishing competition, and at 11:55, he called me. He's like, I won, like I got the fish. He ended up winning like $11,000. And at 12 o'clock on the dot, I got accepted. Like I got accepted while I was on the phone with him. And like it gives me chills, because like it's just like confirmation for me that I'm doing what I'm like. It like sometimes you need a sign, or like I did it. And I had, like I said, 3 days to make it official or something like that, and pay my deposit, and then. But yeah, I haven't heard of a ton of like full scholarships. I also guess it probably just depends on the school, and this process, like the early decision non-binding process is different, I think, than a lot of other schools. So maybe that's why I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like the other schools that you were looking at, you said they would have been binding. Like was their process different? Was their scholarships different? Like the other 2 that you had narrowed it down to?
So one of them, like for those 2, I wasn't going to apply early decision, because you can only apply early to one, like early binding to one at a time. So like I had applied to that one and like it didn't work out, then I could have still had time to apply early binding to another one, because one doesn't even have one was UNC Chapel Hill, and they don't even have early decision. And I don't think that the other one did either. I couldn't even tell you at this point. Like I'm starting to like log stuff out of my mind, you know, about like admissions in the LSAT, and people like DM me and ask me questions. I'm like, I don't know.
No, people still write me and ask me, and I'm like, no. They're like, can you help me with the LSAT? I can direct you to someone. I don't want to ever look at the LSAT again. No.
Really?
Um,
I'm so quick to like send a 7-stage article. Like, I think this will help you, but like, can I
mhm.
help you? Probably not.
No, that's crazy. So, okay, so you got the full ride. Obviously, though, like I think a lot of people don't understand too, though, that even when you get full rides, unless you get like some type of stipend from someone else, you still have to take out loans to live. So, like, I'm assuming that's your situation. You're still
Yes.
having to take out loans, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't have like a trust fund for law school.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm still gonna have to take out like the cost of attendance loans, and
Hmm.
I think you can take up to like the full amount. I don't think that I'll have to take the full amount, which is nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, even that's so important. People don't understand. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, I want a full ride so I don't have to pay for anything. I'm like, you're still gonna have to like you're still gonna owe probably you're still gonna like owe Uncle Sam some money in student loan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially depending on where you go. Like, I mean, because there's some schools where like the cost of living is the same as the tuition, if not more. Like, I mean, UCLA is a perfect example. Like, our cost of attendance is like 95, but I think tuition is like 50. So, I mean, if you think about it, you're still taking out
Oh,
120K. You're still
yeah,
taking out a lot of money, even if you get a full ride. So,
even if it's less, it's still a lot of money.
yeah.
Any debt though, any student debt is something that you should really like think about
Mhm.
in general. And like New York, like I get like living in like Manhattan or somewhere like that.
Mhm.
I don't even know how people can do that. But luckily with the South, that's another thing that I think is really nice. The amount of space that I'm going to be able to have for the price is like super, super incredible. And then I was looking at like a couple of other places just to like see the difference, and it's amazing to me how much more. And that's another thing that I don't think people consider. Like if I had competing offers between two schools and like they're both in the general like area or whatever, or like region, like I guess like the South or whatever, I would probably take the one that had a lower cost of living, because that's still money you have to pay back,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, I think it's like always so crazy. That's why I wanted to like start doing this series, like the collabs or whatever, because it's so many people I talk to during this process, and like everybody just has like different perspectives, and so I think it's good for people to hear different perspectives, because like until you're in this process, you have no idea what to expect or what to do, and then even like sometimes when you're done with it, you're still like, I mean, I did that, but I don't know why. I mean, but it worked out. Like it's
Yeah,
just
literally, like
it's so
looking back, like
weird.
was that stupid? Maybe. Like don't put all your eggs in one basket, and here I am.
Hmm.
But like everyone, I'm fascinated by everyone's different paths to get to where they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, I guess like last question, what do you hope to gain from your overall law school experience?
I have dreamed about this my whole entire life. It's always what I wanted to do. So I hope it lives up to that. And I know I'm gonna be stressed, and I know it's gonna be
Hmm.
like a huge time commitment and everything. But I've always just been like very passionate about like advocating for others and helping
Hmm.
people, and like seeing more people that look like me and you in the
Hmm.
legal field. And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping to like eventually be the person I guess I've always kind of dreamed of being, in a sense.
Oh, oh, that was sweet. So, like in the video on an emotional note.
I know.
No, I mean that's a good reason though. Like a lot of people have different reasons for going to law school. Like I saw this one girl, I mean, like she's a famous attorney, and like somebody was saying to her, like, oh, you only went to law school to like get rich and like have money, and she's like, but if I did, like, like, I mean, there's different reasons. Some
It
people
doesn't
go to law
matter.
school. It's like as long as I get my degree and I do what if I'm good at what I'm doing, it doesn't matter like what my reasoning is. I think everybody has different reasons, which is why there's so many different practice areas. Like civil rights makes sense to you. Civil rights for me wouldn't work, but that's why you have so many different areas for
Exactly.
everybody.
And like it
So
sucks because you don't see people like shaming like accountants, like you only want to be an
yeah,
accountant to make money. Okay, like so what if you did? Like I know that like I'm not gonna make the money that someone in big law makes, and that's okay. But also at the same time, like if I wanted to make a lot of money, if that was my goal, which is a perfectly okay goal,
yeah.
then like who cares? You know what I mean? Like I don't know why lawyers always are like under so much more of a microscope. I guess because they're just like the negative like connotation. But like you
But
said,
nobody says that to doctors. Nobody says you only want to make money. No, you don't say that to a doctor. And then like you don't accuse like doctors of being liars. Like I don't know. It's just a weird connotation with being a lawyer.
Like that's always attacked. And like as a journalism major, I'm coming from another field where I always feel attacked. So it's just like more. Mm-hmm. But that we always say that too. Like no one's going around saying like fake doctor. You know, like no one even takes the second to assume that a doctor's doing it for any other reason than like purely altruistic. I want to like help people, but like you don't know why they're doing it, and whatever the reason is, like it's fine. I just wish we wouldn't all be so like you said, so what? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to share? Any like final thoughts, final words? This was like a good video though, so thank you definitely for sharing your story, going into more detail about early decision, all of that. So
I don't really. I mean, I'd say this is what I would say, and I'm sorry because it worked for me. Don't, especially if you're like first generation and have no idea what you're doing, chances are no one else, myself included, doesn't know what they're doing really either. And just do what feels right and don't worry so much about, please don't worry about what the people on Reddit are doing. That's my biggest advice. Like, go to a like Reddit law school admissions thread and just like turn it off, because
no, seriously,
it'll just make you feel like I don't even know. Just listen, go with your gut, I think is always my advice.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. That's good advice.
So to employment rates and bar passage and all of that stuff too. Like go with your gut, but also like take your brain with you so that you don't end up $300,000 in debt and without job.
That happens to people too. FYI, guys, that happens. People go to like top 14, top 6 law schools, and they end up in bad situations. Not necessarily broke, but just very, very, very unhappy. So think about that.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Lexi. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to have some more collabs coming up. Follow my Instagram so you guys can find out who. I'll announce each one like the day before. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and that's pretty much all. Bye, guys.